I'd been needing a break from life for a long time. I was burned out, work stress, personal stuff, just everything piling up. So when a friend offered me a discounted ticket for a 7-day Caribbean cruise, I didn't even think twice. I booked it, packed light, and tried to convince myself that 7 days on the open sea with sunshine and unlimited buffets would fix the mess inside my head. The ship was massive, bigger than I imagined. Thousands of people, swimming pools, restaurants, shows, all that. It felt like a floating city. My cabin was on the 10th deck, inside room 121. Nothing fancy, just a standard room with a window facing the ocean. Comfortable enough. When I got to my room on the first day, I noticed the cabin next door, 122 unexplained, had its door propped open slightly. A housekeeper was inside, changing sheets and humming to herself. I glanced in as I walked past and noticed how dark the room felt, even with the door open. Weird, but I moved on. The first couple of days were fine. The food was better than expected, the ocean views were incredible, and I was finally starting to feel like I could breathe again. I spent most of my time alone, reading or just people watching on the upper decks. But by the third night, things started to feel off. It began with a noise, soft knocking on the wall between my room and the one next door. At first I thought it was someone just bumping around or maybe moving luggage, but it kept happening, tapping, then scratching, not constant, just enough to break the silence around midnight. I tried ignoring it, but it got under my skin. The walls were pretty thin, and I assumed whoever was in the next cabin was just inconsiderate or maybe drunk. That's common on cruises, right? But then I realized something. I hadn't seen anyone go in or out of 10216, not once. I passed it several times a day, going to meals or heading up to the deck, and the door was always shut tight. No cleaning carts outside, no noises from the inside during the day, just silent until nighttime. I finally asked a crew member if someone was staying in the room. He gave me a quick nod and said, "Yeah, there's someone in there. Solo traveler, I think." That's all he offered. I didn't push it. The next night I couldn't sleep at all. Around 2 a.m. I heard the tapping again, but this time it was followed by a soft, dragging sound like something being scraped slowly across the floor. I sat up in bed, heart pounding, and just listened. It went on for a minute, then stopped completely. I knocked on the wall, not hard, just once, a test. And then from the other side I heard 2 slow knocks in return. My stomach flipped. It wasn't random noise. Someone was there. The next morning I stood outside that cabin for a long minute, debating if I should knock. I didn't, but I started watching. Anytime I was in my room, I kept an eye on the hallway through the peephole. I started noticing things, small things. Every night, sometime after midnight, I'd hear the cabin door next door click open, just slightly, like someone was peeking out, watching the hallway. But by the time I looked through the peephole, no one was ever there. Around day 5, I finally broke down and told a crew member something felt wrong. I played it cool, just said I was hearing strange noises, and I didn't think anyone was actually staying next door. He kind of brushed it off, told me someone had definitely checked in on day 1, and maybe they just liked staying in. That night, I barely slept. The scratching was louder, closer. At one point, I swear it wasn't even coming from the wall. It sounded like it was inside my room. I turned on every light and searched the place, but there was nothing. On the 6th day, I finally got a bit of information. At breakfast, I sat near a couple who had been on over a dozen cruises. We made small talk, and I brought up the room next to mine. I asked if they'd ever had problems with a cabin neighbor being noisy. The woman leaned in and said something that stopped me cold. "That room number sounds familiar. Didn't something happen in that room last year?" Her husband nodded. "Yeah, some guy traveling alone. Kept to himself. People said he acted strange. Then halfway through the cruise, he just disappeared, never found him. Ship docked, they searched everywhere, nothing. Weird thing is, the crew didn't even notice he was missing until his room smelled off. A couple days after we docked, I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. That night, the noises started earlier, around 11 p.m. I turned out all the lights and just sat in the dark, staring at the wall, listening. And then something changed. I heard footsteps. Slow. Steady. Inside the room next door, moving from the far wall to right up against mine. Then silence. Then the soft knock again. 3 short taps, like a signal. I didn't answer this time. The tapping got louder. Then something hit the wall, hard, like a fist slamming into it. I jumped out of bed and grabbed the phone to call the front desk, but the line was dead. Just static. I stayed up the entire night, eyes locked on the wall. Nothing else happened. Just silence. Oppressive, heavy silence. In the morning, I'd had enough. I packed everything and went straight to the front desk, demanding to be moved or let off the ship at the next port. The crew member tried to calm me down, asking what had happened. I told her the truth, no embellishment, just what I'd experienced. She looked uncomfortable and quietly admitted something that has stayed with me ever since. That cabin? It was supposed to be empty. No one had been assigned to it this voyage. There had been an incident on a previous trip, and it was marked for maintenance and closure due to guest discomfort reports. When I asked why I was told someone was staying there, she hesitated and said, "Sometimes new crew don't get the full briefing." I demanded to see the room. At first, they refused, but after some convincing, they let me in, along with a crew supervisor. The room was dark, freezing cold. Dust had settled on everything, and the bed hadn't been made. But the carpet had a long dark stain running from the bed to the bathroom. It had been cleaned, sure, but not well enough. And scratched faintly into the wall behind the bed, almost invisible unless you were looking for it, were 3 marks, like someone had been dragging their fingers or nails over and over in the same spot. They moved me to another room for the final night, but I didn't sleep. I just sat in the chair by the window, staring out at the water, counting down the hours until we docked. Even now, months later, I still check the walls before I sleep. I still listen for tapping sounds in the silence, and I don't think I'll ever set foot on a cruise ship again.